Hi everyone, I'm Chief Kott with the City of Bethlehem Police Department. I've been the chief for a year now, a police officer for the past 18 years, and I'm going to be reading you How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, Grinchly frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together. With Christmas bells ringing, they'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat. And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said. If I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care, when he came to the first little house on the square. "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags, one by one, up the chimbley. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." And the Grinch grabbed the tree and started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd gotten out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 1/4 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put a hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing, without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming, it came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. The end. What an amazing story, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I know this is a story that my family and I love to read during the holidays. But now that the story's over, why don't we go join our friends in the kitchen and work with those Cookie Monsters to come up with a delicious treat.
Hello everyone, my name is Keandre Kenner. I am a hospitality management student here at NCC. I study hospitality management for the restaurant section. For the sake of this video, we will not be wearing our masks. Both of us involved are vaccinated, so we feel comfortable taking our mask off, and we will also be 6 feet apart at all times.
I'm Colin Metzger. I work for Sodexo and I am a student at Northampton. I'm also studying restaurant management. And it's a pleasure to be back. Like we said, we are both vaccinated and we were standing 6 feet apart during the video.
Hello everyone, for today's demonstration we will be making chocolate chip cookies. It's a very simple recipe and it's very simple to execute. The first thing you want to do is you want to start with softened butter, and it will go straight into the mixing bowl. Next up, we are going to do our sugars. Here I have brown sugar and regular granulated sugar mixed together. And we always clean as we go. Next up, we secure the mixer, and we're going to start on a low speed. After it's started to mix together, you can turn it up just for 1 notch. And now, We can turn it off. And we're just going to give a quick mix to the sides of the bowls just to make sure everything that we started with is being mixed. Our next ingredient to be added in will be our eggs, and we always do it one at a time. I also have the vanilla extract in with the eggs. There's one. And we're just going to make sure that one egg is fully incorporated before we add the next one. Now we can add our second egg. Just going to adjust the speed a bit. Next up, we're going to give our bowl a scrape again. And give our paddle a scrape as well. Given that all the ingredients are at room temperature, it'll all blend smoothly. Right now the batter is a little cold, so you can see the butter solidifying a bit, but that's okay. Now that this is well mixed, we're going to go ahead and add our dry ingredients. Here I have sifted pastry flour and baking soda and salt. And we can go ahead and add those two together. Anytime I add dry ingredients, I tend to use a piece of parchment paper just to add it. It makes the process just a little bit smoother. Secure our bowl again. And start on low. And I'm just going to gradually add the flour. Slow and steady. And now our flour is added. I'm going to stop the mixer. And whenever we add our dry ingredients, we should take the time to scrape the bowl again because flour has a tendency to stick to the edges and also the bottom. So we're going to make sure everything's incorporated and mixed well. And last but not least, we're going to add our chocolate chips. Once your chocolate chips is mixed in well, we will be done. We're going to give the paddle a nice scraping, the bowl edges a nice scraping. And now our cookie dough is complete. Your next step is you'll have a oven preheated at 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and using a 1 1/3 ounce scoop, you can scoop your cookies and bake them for 11 minutes, and you can turn them every 5 to 6 minutes to make sure they bake evenly. And that's all you need. And after you've baked your cookies for 11 minutes, they'll come out just like this. And then you can let them cool just until you're able to handle them, and then you can cool them on a wire rack. Or you can dig in.
So now you've learned how to make chocolate chip cookies, I'm going to show you how to make a Grinch themed drink. So what you're going to start off with is some lime sherbet. Put it into a nice sized bowl or a pitcher, and what you're going to do is you're going to get a bottle of Sprite, nice 2 liter, and you're going to pour half of the bottle in there. You're also going to need pineapple juice for this. The 46 ounce can works best, but you can use more or less. Pour it right in on top. And also you're going to need the green berry rush Hawaiian punch flavor. And you're going to give it a nice little stir. You're going to see it's going to start getting a nice little green color, just like the Grinch's fur. And this is a drink that you want to drink right away because it will not stay long. And that is how you make the Grinch punch. I hope you had a great time listening to Chief Kott read how the Grinch Stole Christmas and learning how to make a Grinch flavored punch.
And also, I'm grateful and thankful for you guys for watching to learn how to make chocolate chip cookies. It's been a great day, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.